So it goes G-O-O-D-M-O-R-N-I-N-G. Good morning. Good morning. Let me get the clap. G-O-O-D-M-O-R-N-I-N-G. Good morning. Good morning. Here we go. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right. So I want to welcome you guys to this info session on Freedom Schools. And I'm going to introduce two wonderful high school students from the Pine Bluff High School, Mr. Alan Smith and Miss Alexandria Jackson. They're actually going to be the ones that's going over our program and navigating through this session. I appreciate all of you guys for coming. Please feel free to take notes, write down whatever you like on those packets that I gave. They're your copies to keep. And then whenever we finish this, you will have a chance to ask any questions that you may have about the program. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Allen, who's going to do our welcome.
Okay. Good morning, guys, and welcome to our Children's Friends Fund Freedom Schools info session. My name is Alan Smith. I'm a sophomore at Pine Bluff High School. And I just want to talk a little bit about the Next Pine Bluff group that I was in. My time with it had been very fantastic. It allowed me to meet new people and visit many new places that I normally would not have gone out to on my own due to lack of maybe the initiative to want to go see these places. But I am definitely glad that I was a part of this program. A couple of things that we did while we were in the program. We went to many other cities and college tours. And down here in Pine Bluff, we did some work on the Indiana Street Park. And we helped to improve it and make it better and make it more fit, and it led it to be a park that other people can go to. And I was in a Boys and Girls Club group, and I got to mentor young children and young students, and I got to have fun with them at the Presbyterian Church down the street. And frankly, had I not been in the program during the summer, I'd probably just, I don't know, I might have just stayed home. But I am really happy to say that I am glad that this program is joining up with another one, Freedom Schools, and I just like to say thanks for your time.
And now we're going to have Miss Alexandria Jackson, 11th grade scholar at Pine Bluff High School. She's going to introduce some key guests that we have here with us today.
Hi, my name is Alexandria Jackson. I'm a high school junior, and I would like to introduce Dr. Michael Robinson, Superintendent, Miss Alicia Smith, Schools Improvement Officer, Dr. Laura Strickland, Business, Finance, and Federal Programs Officer, Miss Stephanie Bennett, Climate and Culture Officer, and if there are any board members, please stand. Okay. What's Next Pine Bluff is a great organization that is designed to help students succeed. Last summer weeks, we earned over 100 hours of community service designing activities such as little libraries to promote literacy in the community. We started to rebuild the Indiana Street Park so that the youth would have a fun and safe place to play and interact. These activities continue to support the people in Pine Bluff and help improve our community as a whole. These examples are just a glimpse into all the amazing things we accomplished last summer. In the mornings, we were placed in different groups based on our interests. For example, I was blessed to be a part of a female empowerment group that discussed issues that pertain to young women and brainstorm possible strategies and solutions for these issues. We also went on college trips both in and out of state, which gave me a chance to prepare more for my future. If I had not been a part of What's Next Pine Bluff's summer leadership program, I would probably spend my time hanging out with my friends or playing video games. I had a wonderful experience and I'm grateful for that opportunity. I would like to introduce our panelists today who are partnering with the Freedom Schools program. We have Dr. Cedric Rice, professor from the UAPB STEM Center. We have Mr. Adrian Donaraj from What's Next Pine Bluff. We have Ms. Freddie Jolivet from the Pine Bluff School District Parent Center. And last but not least, Mr. Lee Anderson from the U of A Extension. We also have today Ms. Naisha Aldridge, CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Jefferson County, and Ms. Joni Alexander, the CEO of Youth Engagement Services. Thank you for your time.
Another Freedom School moment. So in Freedom Schools, we don't clap our hands whenever we want to recognize people for doing great things. We, of course, have a chant for it. We say, good job. So it's good job, good job. Good job, good job. G-O-O-D-J-O-B, good job, good job. So those two students that came up, they were a part of an organization called What's Next Pine Bluff. And I reached out to Adrian Donaraj, who's one of the leaders and founders of What's Next Pine Bluff, to ask if he could have some of his students to come up to share with you some of their experiences of what it means to actually attend a summer program. I know a lot of time adults, we talk about summer programs, we think it's something that's awesome to sign up our young people for, but I wanted you to hear what it means for them. And it was powerful to hear them say, well, I'd be sitting at home playing video games, or I would just not be doing anything. But instead, these young people were engaged in community service, they were engaged in leadership skills, they were engaged in things to make them a better person. And every time I go to the high school and I say, hey, I need 2 high school students, or I need a high school student, or I need this, the same names of the students who are doing these summer activities, who are doing these out of school time activities, those are the students that are not getting in trouble, that are not spending time getting suspended, but those are the students that are excelling and moving forward because they're taking advantage of every opportunity to learn. So I want to talk about Freedom Schools. If you look at the screens that are around, we see the Children's Defense Fund's Freedom School, Pine Bluff School District's Freedom Schools Initiative. And that top part is important because Freedom Schools is a national program. It is a program that is modeled through the Children's Defense Fund, and we brought into that program to bring that model here to Pine Bluff, Arkansas, to be able to help us make a difference in the lives of our young people. So what is the Children's Defense Fund? Looking at the screen here, I want to point out the founder of the organization, Dr. Mary Wright Elderman, who you see pictured here. And she's one of the civil rights activists of her time that marched alongside Dr. Martin Luther King to ensure that there was equality and rights for all people. But Dr. Elderman, she had a vision that was a little bit different from Dr. King. She believed in equality for all people, but particularly she wanted to see equality for young people. She wanted to see young children engaged in government and engaged in policy and engaged in the community. And she created the organization called the Children's Defense Fund, which is purpose to lobby for children's rights. It is the only children's lobbying organization that exists in this nation, and it is in DC. This is an active organization. So if you see here, Hillary Clinton, who many of us may know or may be familiar with, when she graduated college, she started her career as an intern with the Children's Defense Fund. She was a lawyer who went across the country and advocated for children's rights and the children's policies in states all across this nation. The Children's Defense Fund also adopts various initiatives that exist across the country. One initiative in 2013 that I actually had a part of was the Protect Children and Not Guns initiative, where there was several kids being killed all across the nation. CDF wanted to bring attention to that and say, we need to protect our young people instead of trying to make them bring attention to gun rights and gun violence. The 2015 National Observance of the Children's Sabbath Manual, which was something that was created to be able to say, here's what children need to be successful in this society. So I just wanted you to know that this organization is a part of a larger movement that's connected to bring opportunity and make opportunities available for children and young people. So when we get into the history and we want to know where did Freedom Schools come from, it evolved from the 1964 Freedom Summer movement, where college students from northern states like New York, Connecticut, Ohio, all of these college students, white, black, Asian, they came down to Mississippi. And who in here knows what was happening in Mississippi in 1964? You guys are my students now, it's a history class. What was happening in 1964 in Mississippi? Civil rights. And so during that time, could African American people vote? No. Yes. Actually, they could vote. But there was a caveat to it. Who knows what that caveat was? In 1964, what did Mississippi do to make it difficult for African American people to vote? What was that? They had poll taxes. What else? They had the test. And that's what I want to get into. They created a literature test and said that in order for you to be able to vote as an African American, you have to be able to pass this literature test and you have to know how to read. The test was hard. They made this like this test was basically written at a 10th, 11th, but sophomore, junior level for a college student. So this was not an easy test that the common person could pass. So what happened was the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, which is called SNCC, and other organizations came together and they said, we're going to have to go down to Mississippi and we're going to have to make sure that we are getting our people to the polls so they can have a right to be able to vote. So if you look in these pictures here, this is what that Freedom Summer looked like. It was young people coming down and they were working with our young people doing civil engagement, doing reading activities, teaching them how to read, and taking them to the actual courthouse where they can take that literature test, they can be able to pass that test, they can get those taxes done, and be able to go vote. Because in order for, at the time, they thought in order for us to be able to progress in the South as a people, we had to make sure that our people knew how to read. Which I agree, because literature and reading is the foundation to all learning. If you can't read, then there's nothing else that you can do. And so before this, if we want to go even further back in history, we want to look at how is it that African American and Latino and all colored people were oppressed. How do you think people kept us oppressed? How are we able to be slaves for so long? How are we able to not have the same rights that other people have? What do you think they did?
Date myself with the age, but there was once a statement that stated if you want black people to know something, print it in the book. Yes.
Right.
Because they cannot.
Right. They didn't want us to read. It goes back to slavery days. They kept us as a slave because we couldn't read. And they figured if you were a slave and you didn't know how to read, then you would be absent-minded to all the things that was happening around you. You wouldn't care about wanting to have a house or wanting to be a homeowner or wanting to have individual rights because you wouldn't know they existed because you couldn't read. And so the church served as a place where people could always read. African Americans learned how to read the Bible. That was the first thing we knew how to read. And all the way up through today, the church is something that is very important to the African American community because it's where we learned how to read, is where we had an outlet, and is where we gained our freedom. And the church played a big role in freedom schools because the freedom schools were held in the church. And commonly today, churches actually partner with school districts all across the country to be able to provide the freedom schools what we have today. And here's our freedom schools. Similar to the freedom schools in 1964, they look exactly the same. We see kids in circles, we see young people reading, and that is the focus of our program. So when we talk about freedom schools today, freedom schools is a literacy-based summer enrichment program. And when I say literacy-based, we're not going to be teaching college algebra, or this is not going to be an SAT prep, this is not going to be bring your kids and we're going to sit down and go through what they're doing in Algebra 1 and geometry. This is going to be a program that's going to bring the kids to the foundation of learning, which is reading. We're going to give them literacy and culturally relevant text that applies to them. So the books that they're going to read are not going to talk about what Edgar Allan Poe read when he did poetry, or Romeo and Juliet, which are great books, by the way. But these books are going to talk about what is it like to be a teenage parent? What is it like to be a single mom and to have to go as a mom and work 2 or 3 jobs and then hope that you send your kids to school and they're doing everything they can because you want them to go to college and be better than you, but they're still doing whatever they want to do. It's going to talk about that dad who's away in the military, and every time he goes out to fight in Afghanistan and Iraq, he's thinking about his son that's here in Pine Bluff that he can't get to see every day, and he can't be able to be that man to him that he wants to be. That's what these books talk about. And our kids can relate to those books, which is what gets them engaged in what we're reading. They're going to talk about those issues. They're going to open up. They're going to vent. And they're going to grow and become a better person. And that's what Freedom School does. It trains our kids how we can not allow the issues and the oppression that we have going on to be an excuse. Because when I see the TV and everyone's like, oh, well, you know, this is a single parent home, so we can expect, that doesn't matter. It's not, that's an excuse. And we have to get rid of the excuses and get to the root of the problem. Why are our children failing? Why are our children not succeeding? And that's what we want to do here. Freedom schools exist across the country. You see here, kids are happy. Kids are engaged. Kids are whole. They have wellness. They're doing Harambe's. They're engaging in social action. There are some school districts that actually have Freedom Schools program. Freedom School Partners, I worked with this organization for 6 years while I was a college student and a recent college graduate in Charlotte. They started out with one Freedom School site. They now have 15 sites, and each one of they call those focus schools in Charlotte, which are the schools that have high populations of students in poverty or areas. Each focus school in the city of Charlotte, North Carolina, has a Freedom School that extends through after school and the summer, and the data has been significant of what Freedom Schools has done to engage young black children into learning. So, a day in Freedom School. What does a day look like? When your kids get here at 8 o'clock in the morning, this is what is going to happen. We're going to have a healthy and nutritional breakfast from 8 o'clock to 8:30 in the morning. Breakfast is important. This is not well, I don't think I want to eat breakfast today. Every child is going to eat breakfast, and they're going to be eating it along with the teacher. The teachers aren't going to be sitting at a table gossiping about your child. Like, girl, I can't wait for this first period. Our teachers in Freedom Schools actually spend the day with the kids. They're college students. So our college students are going to be sitting at the table. Hey, what happened at your house last night? Hey, did you hear about what happened on the news? They're going to be engaged in talking with your children, what families should do whenever we sit down and have breakfast together. After breakfast, we're going to have Harambe, which is one of the key capstones of the Freedom Schools program. It's a big pep rally that we have every morning. We're going to do cheers and chants. We're going to do a motivational song, which is my favorite part. It leaves the kids in tears every year at the end of the summer. I see kids 17 years old, 18-year-old, the baddest kid in the school, in tears, like on the ground crying, because when they finally say, I know I can be what I want to be on that last day, it hits them and they realize that they can be whatever they want to be. We're going to have announcements, we're going to have recognitions, and we're going to celebrate every kid. Every kid deserves to be celebrated, even those that might get in trouble. I used to tell teachers at my last school, find a way to celebrate the kid. Every child has something good about it. You might even say your haircut looks nice. That might be all you have to say, but guess what? You can say it. Celebrate the kids. Our integrated reading curriculum, that's from 9 until 11:45. During that time, our students are going to be reading that culturally relevant text. One book that I want to talk about is the one that every year I go back to read this book. I've read it 5 or 6 times. I love it. It's a book called Joseph, and it's about a young man who, his father was away. He was in another country, fighting in the military, and mom is here. Dad was actually a good father. He would send mom checks, send mom the money, and say, hey, I want you to give son this so he can have this, and give this to this so, he can buy this book. But mom was on drugs. So she was taking the money and not giving it to her son. It was so bad, mom stole his books. Couldn't even go to school. She stole the boy's book bag and the books to be able to get money for her drugs. And that's bad. But then I'm like, what street could she on? If somebody's going to buy an algebra book for $50 and she was shocked, maybe you get yourself. But nonetheless, it was just a horrible, horrible, horrible mom. And so the book goes on about this young man. He's smart, he's in school, he's trying to do the best he can despite what else is going on around him. And in the end, dad actually comes home. And when dad comes home, he's not aware of what's been going on. So I'm going to leave it there because then I want you guys and I want your children to talk to you about what happens in the book this summer. But that's just an example of what our integrated reading curriculum is. It's books that are grade level appropriate, that's written on grade level, that's designed to get our kids to talk. Research shows that when children are talking about things that they have going on in their mind, then they're more likely to learn. Kids misbehave because there's a void or a need that's not being met. And when that need is not being met, the only thing they can do is act out. Why? Because they're children. And children are supposed to act out. So when you see kids in trouble, the kids are on ISS and all this other stuff, it just baffles me when people are, well, this kid is bad. It's not the kid, it's the circumstance. And if the kid is upset, then that means you're not doing something right to be able to serve the kid. It's not the child's fault, it's the adult's fault.
Amen.
The next part. Mindfulness via DEAR. So the Children's Defense Fund has a DEAR program, DEAR time, which is drop everything and read. Everybody is going to read. I'm going to read. If you a parent and you volunteered at that site today, you're going to read. If the kids are there, they are going to read. My staff is going to read. Everybody in the building is going to be dropping everything and they're going to be reading. And I put the mindfulness there because I want to add journaling to that. So if a kid doesn't want to read, they can write. Whatever's on your mind. They might have had a bad day. Get it out. Then Say what's going on inside of your mind. Let us know how you feel. I did that as a teacher. I never sent kids. I was a teacher. I taught in the classroom for 4 years. The 4 years that I taught, I only did one PS-74. And that's what we call our discipline referral in my home state. And the only reason I did that one PS-74 is because it was a fight that happened in the hallway, and it wasn't even my student, it was another teacher's, but I had to write it up. Otherwise, my kids don't get in trouble. You know why? When they come in, Mr. Lewis, I'm not really having a good day. Go sit in the back, write about it, tell me what's going on, I'll come talk to you later, because I want to know what's wrong. And when the kids know that you care, they respect you. They don't respect all teachers, I'm not going to lie. There's some teachers that get disrespected, but that's because they choose to allow that. And kids are only going to do what the adults allow. Period. Lunch. From 12 to 12:30, we will have lunch, and again, just like breakfast, everybody's going to sit. What's going on? Tell me what you learned today in reading. What do you think about this book? What are you going to do when you get home this afternoon? We're having conversations. Recreation. It's important for kids to have recreation all the way up to high school. You can't expect the kids, and this is one thing that I don't get with the school system. Sit down, go to the next class, sit down, don't talk, go to the next class, sit down, don't talk, go to the next class. What adult is going to go from class to class to class to class and just sit down and not talk the whole day and then think they're going to leave and be a well-behaved person? It doesn't work that way. So we're going to have a recreation period where the kids can actually go outside, sit, chat, talk, just, get ready for the afternoon. From 1 to 2:30, we have afternoon activities. And this is where our community partnership comes in. We're going to be at UAPB, and I'm going to have Dr. Rice to talk about what that's going to look like for a few days. We're going to be at the Wellness Center. The high school and middle school site particularly, they're going to be there once a week. They're going to be bicycling, they're going to be weightlifting, they're going to be running. Every Friday, we're going to a state park. The kids are going to be hiking, they're going to be canoeing, they're going to kayak. And if they don't know how to swim, they're going to be learning how to swim this summer. African Americans, we have the lowest percentage of people who know how to swim in this nation. And that's sad. We need to learn how to be able to swim. We're going to learn that this summer for some of our kids. We're going to the, let's see what some other things. We have the Innovation Hub. We're going to the Clinton Library. We're going to some water parks. So some of the activities are meant just to be fun, but some of it is purpose to give our kids a chance to see the whole rest of the state. When I was just in Maryland, we went on a field trip. We take our kids to go to the South every year. And when we were coming back on the bus, I was sitting next to this kid, Angelo. And Angelo looks out the window and he's like, "Oh, Mr. Lewis, look, look, look." And I'm looking, I'm like, what is it that he's trying to show me? And it's the skyline of Baltimore as the bus is coming in. And I'm like, what? I said, "Angelo, what are you trying to show me?" And he's like, "Look, what city is that, Mr. Lewis?" And I'm like, "That's Baltimore." He's like, "That's Baltimore?" And like, this is a kid who lives in Park Heights, and I'm not sure if you all are familiar, but Park Heights is the worst neighborhood in the entire state of Maryland. If you want to get shot, if you want to get killed, if you want to live in a bad place, then you go to Park Heights. That's where my school was that I taught at. And this kid, he's only been in that community his whole life. He's never been outside of Park Heights. He didn't even know what the skyline looked like of his own city. And that's an example of why Freedom School wants to expose our kids. There's some kids here in Pine Bluff that probably don't even know Little Rock is a part of Arkansas because they've never been out of Pine Bluff. And we want to take our kids and get them on the road and show them this whole beautiful state because there's lots of great things there. After the afternoon activities, snacks, announcements, celebrations. Every kid will be celebrated every day. Your kids are not going to get on the school bus stressed out going home. They're going to be happy because we just recognize them. Every child will get recognized. And then we dismiss so they can go back home and get ready for the next day. And I also put this on the side. These are other Freedom Schools programs. So Freedom Schools in San Francisco. We have Freedom Schools in Chicago. The bottom one is the Freedom Schools in Mississippi. All of those Freedom Schools operate on the same schedule. So the same experience must be given to students regardless of what program they're in across the country. Community service, political advocacy, and wellness. So Freedom Schools, because it's a part of the Children's Defense Fund, requires that students engage in social action. Every year, the Children's Defense Fund takes an issue that they believe and they fight for on behalf of all children, and they engage the Freedom School sites in those activities. In the past, one thing has been transportation for students. So one school district had an issue in Michigan where the school system couldn't afford to give transportation. So they told parents, we're cutting out all bus services now. You have to get your own kids to school. That's unacceptable. CDF says, the part of why we pay taxes is to make sure that our kids have a school bus to pick them up. So they send CDF up there, those kids now have school buses. And look who was leading the charge. They were Freedom School scholars during the summer. We have another advocacy here where the kids are using gun rights. They're standing up for gun rights and gun issues. Swimming. Again, it goes back to the need to make sure that we teach our kids how to swim. That's actually an issue. They took that up one year. They said so many of our kids don't know how to swim. We actually need to go around the country and do a swimming campaign and say, hey, let's learn how to swim. Why is that good for us? Weightlifting and nutrition, exercise, teaching our kids the proper way to exercise. Arkansas has no obesity problem. This is the second most obese state in the nation, second only to Mississippi, who is actually, when the new data comes out this year, Mississippi is going to drop to number 2. Arkansas will most likely become number 1. I don't know what's happening in Mississippi, but they're doing some pretty good stuff. Mississippi is actually picking up in a lot of things. So, that's not good for Arkansas because they're basically taking Mississippi's place. So we're gonna have to change, and it starts here in our community. It starts in Pine Bluff. So wellness, political advocacy, and community service is going to be a big pillar of our program. Mr. Donna Raj is going to talk about what community service is going to look like. We're partnering with What's Next Pine Bluff for that to take place over the summer. So the money. Here's what we talk about. This old lady right here has the money on her shirt. I like that. So family engagement and tuition. How am I going to afford for my kids to go to all these theme parks and all this stuff and to have this reading curriculum? And I didn't mention, at the end of the week, all of the books that we read goes home with the kid. So we want them to build their own personal library at home because every child should have a library in their room. You can't tell the kids to read if they don't have nothing to read. So that's going to be a part of the program, is to ensure that they have books. So Freedom Schools is free. It doesn't cost a thing for any child that is accepted to be a part of the program. That is a national requirement. The Children's Defense Fund believes that children should never have to pay for opportunity because we want to equal the playing field for wealthy kids who have parents that can take them out and do things. Some of our children don't have that opportunity, and that's where we come in. But here's the catch. There's always a catch when something is free. There's always a catch. The catch is parent education piece. In order for your child to attend this program for free, and please write this down, parents, if you're going to do an application after we finish, because I am going to strictly enforce this policy. So please make sure you write. You as a parent will have to attend 3 parent meetings. That's it. One of those parent meetings is going to be the week before the program starts. If you don't attend, your child will not come, period, point blank. I don't want any child in a program that I have not seen and talked to the parents about what you're going to get into. So if you can't make it to that first meeting, then your child is cut. The second meeting will be midway through the program, where we're going to partner with Ms. Jolivet from the Parent Center. She's going to bring and make you guys aware of resources that exist in the community for you. When I was in Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools actually has a program to where if you are a parent and you make less than $40,000 a year, if you don't have food stamps, you can go to any grocery store and they will provide the basic necessities of milk, bread, and water for you for free. Many parents didn't know that Charlotte-Mecklenburg County did that service. Freedom School connected you to that. So Ms. Jolivet is looking, she's going to find services, and we're going to connect you to that. So when Freedom School's over, you're still going to be able to give your child what they need. And the last parent meeting is going to be on the last day of the program. It's called our finale, where the kids are actually going to have a chance to celebrate and show you guys what they've been working on and doing all summer. So again, those 3 parent meetings you must attend for your child to be able to join and enroll in the program. We're going to feed you. I don't believe in getting you guys here and saying you got to come to this meeting and there's no food, and we actually have a great partnership. They said that you guys barbecue down in the South, so we're going to have some smoked meats one time. We're going to have some grilled, some fish and some chicken, so I think it's going to be a pretty good time. We're going to take good care of you. But the seriousness of it, you got to come to that meeting. If you're not at the meeting, don't send your kids the next day. Because when they come, Mr. Lewis is going to be like, you know what, man, I love you. I think you're a good kid. And, I want you to be successful, but I'm going to have to give you back to God. And I'm going to have to go back to your mother so we can go ahead and bring somebody else. We're only going to serve 120 kids. And I want to make sure that the 120 of the 4,000 plus kids in this district that we serve are kids that we're going to count on their parents being engaged and involved 100%. So without further ado, I'm going to now call on a few of our community partners who are going to come up in 1 minute or less. They're going to talk to you guys a little bit about our partnership that we're going to have for the summer. So that's going to be Dr. Shedrick Rice from UAPB STEM Center, followed by Mr. Adrian Donaraj from What's Next Pine Bluff. Ms. Freddie Jolivet's going to talk about the parent piece, and Mr. Lee Anderson's going to come up and talk.
I'm extremely excited to be here, and what I first want to say is I just want to thank Mr. Lewis for his energy and his passion. I want to thank Dr. Michael Robson for the vision for bringing Freedom School to our school district. I'm also excited because we get a chance to work with Freedom School at UAPB. So essentially my role will be as director of the Math and Science Pre-College STEM Center. We have some activities scheduled for students within the program. They'll be doing robotics training, they may be doing some coding, they may be doing some 3D visualization, but also they're going to be learning how to improve their critical thinking skills, higher order thinking skills, and also team building skills. So again, just briefly, we're excited about this partnership, we're engaged, we're involved, and we look forward to it being successful. The last thing I'd like to say before I take my seat is that as a 1990 graduate of Pine Bluff High School, I'm extremely excited that we're going to be moving forward with this initiative, and I'm so excited that we're engaged to the point where I get a chance to give back what was given to me. Thank you.
Dr. Rice, before you leave, I just want to say this one thing, and I don't know how I missed this. Dr. Rice has been a hero to me as I've moved here. So our college students that we have that are hired that are going to work in the program, most of those students came from UAPB. Many of them came from the UAPB STEM Center, and all of them are STEM majors. So they're biology majors, they're engineering majors. And these are subjects that a lot of African Americans don't succeed in. And these are kids with 3.75, 3.8, 4.0 GPA. I'm just super impressed. They are an amazing cohort of young people. And one of them we actually hired. She's going to be working in the district next year in our Project Lead the Way program, and I'm super excited for that. But in addition, Dr. Rice has been doing grants. He's been doing lots of things to partner with our school system. So I just wanted you to know that he is very active and very engaged in doing things to not just benefit Freedom Schools, but the entire district.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
For any of you who may be familiar with What's Next Pine Bluff, you know that this program here is screaming our mission, that a young person in Pine Bluff will have the same opportunity to succeed as a student anywhere in America. We're really excited to be a part of this this year. So as Mr. Lewis was saying, students in both the elementary and the upper program will be able to engage in community service at Indiana Street Park. So I think Alexandria and Alan alluded to this earlier. A couple summers ago when we had our What's Next Pine Bluff first summer program, students got together with the Turtle Creek Neighborhood Coalition, a group of community organizers in the neighborhood right by the old Indiana Street Elementary School. And they worked with them to basically, the school had been closed for many years, and the grounds weren't accessible to any kids in the neighborhood. There also isn't a public park within walking distance for those residents of that area. So the students said, let's open up the school. And they got with the superintendent of Pine Bluff School District before Dr. Robinson, and they got with the city's parks department and organized so that there could be a joint use agreement between the city and the school district. So the park is now open, but it needs a lot of work. It needs more playground equipment. It needs more things for students to do, young people to do that would be positive. And so both programs this summer will actually be making improvements to the park, building some playground equipment, making it a nicer place for families to enjoy there. So we're really excited about this opportunity, and we're encouraging all of our students to apply for this program. Thanks.
Good morning. Good morning. Okay, well, I'm a Baptist people in this house. Call their response. Let's try this again. Good morning. Good morning. All right. I'm a teacher, so I'm not going to be behind the podium. I never was a teacher that sat behind a desk when I taught. And I know, Dr. Robinson, I'm going to date myself, but see one of my students, Tam, would you raise your hand? And believe it or not, Dr. Cedric Rice and I did a research appointment at UAPB studying cancer cells. So, okay, but you know I started when I was 5, right? I'm at the Parent Center and I am super excited. Who remembers that song? I'm so excited. And I just can't hide it because it's a synergy for me at the Parent Center because my entire job at the Parent Center is to move the needle as far as student academic achievement and learning. And we all know that reading is one of the bedrocks of all of the other disciplines. So to that end, we have a reading initiative. We also, Zach, if you don't mind me using your first name, give away free books because I'm a firm believer that every student, I didn't say some, every student in the Pine Bluff School District needs their own personal library. And for those of y'all that don't know at this junction where I'm located, we're at 1215 West Pullen. Our books are free. All of the resources that we have at the Parent Center are free. And I'm going to state that for 3 times for emphasis. All of our resources are free. All of our resources are free. And in fact, I just received a shipment of books from Mr. Cotton's office. We do not talk about politics, but I did really well by scholars. So I saw he had a press release last year where he was at Central and he gave away free books. So Tangent, I'm a pit bull. So I asked for the free books and he connected me to somebody else and it went on and on. We got the books last week. So in addition to the books that we already have at the Parent Center, we have some age-appropriate, grade-appropriate books. And I am so excited that the component is in there about parental engagement because I feed them and sometimes they still don't come out. So with that being a caveat for attendance of the students, it's a win-win for the community, it's a win-win for the Parent Center, and I'm excited and thank you so much. And please, I beseech you, let me be of service. Thank you.
Now, the program, Freedom Schools is not the only program that exists in Pine Bluff. And one thing that I hate, and I've always been a critic of this, in the African American community, the biggest thing that holds our community back, and not just our community, but, well, yeah, I'm going to say it, in the African American community, to be honest, what holds our community back is the lack of ability for us to partner and work together. It's always about me and always about this person and this title and always, and it's not about freedoms. I'm not about that for one. And anyone that knows me, I could care less about any recognition or anything because that's not why we do what we do. But one thing that I do believe in is connecting people with other resources that exist in the community. So I invited 2 other organizations that they're not Freedom School, they have their own mission, they serve their own children, but I just wanted the community to be aware that there's other things that exist that are out here. So when Freedom Schools is over, or if you apply and you say, well, you know what, Freedom Schools might not be for me, there might be something else this year for you. So they're going to come up and just give a little brief minute overview about what their program are, and then I'm going to let you guys know how you can complete your applications today if you're interested in the program, and we'll be wrapping up right at 11. So thank you guys for your time. So I have Ms. Naisha Albridge here from the Boys and Girls Club, and as soon as she finishes, Ms. Jody Alexander from Yes, will be coming up. Thank you.
Hello. Hello. Thank you, Ms. Lewis, for the invitation. If you are not aware, the Boys and Girls Club has been in this community for 70 years. I don't know where you have been, but the Boys and Girls Club, Jefferson County, is an after-school and summer program. It's actually a national organization. And I'll just run you through a day at the Boys and Girls Club real quick. So after school, when the kids come to our facility, we have 2 facilities here in Pine Bluff, one in the Townsend Park community and one right across the street at First United Methodist Church. But back to my schedule. When the kids come into our doors, they come in, they eat a meal after school. After they eat their meal, we do what we call power hour. That's where they work on their homework for an hour after school. If they do not have homework, we do provide them with math and literacy skills because, again, reading, writing, and those mathematic skills are fundamental. After they go into that program, we go and we break off into groups. and do other programs. We focus on character and leadership. We have programs specific to the boys, programs specific to the girls, excuse me. We have art programs, we have robotics, we have Verizon App Inventor program, where we are teaching our kids how to build apps. And once they complete those apps, they'll be able to send those apps to our national app office, and those will be applications that you all will be able to download on your phones as well. Going into our summer program, it's all day, from 7:30 a.m. until 5:30 p.m. at our Townsend Park location, because we are aware that most of our parents work, and you work in that 8 to 5 job, so we are open pretty much all day. And we do not just let them come in and play all day. We pretty much do breakfast. We still work on math and literacy throughout the summertime, and we go into our character leadership programs, we do field trips, and all of that. We do encourage parent involvement, volunteers, and we are looking for community partnerships. We want to partner with several different organizations in the community. So that is a little bit about the Boys and Girls Club. If you're interested in more, you can see me after. But my 1 minute is up. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. So it's a pleasure to be here with all of you today, and I want to start by thanking Mr. Lewis for the program overview. I'm really excited about Freedom School. I also want to thank Dr. Robinson for his outstanding leadership here in the city, and more specifically for the Pine Bluff School District. My name, y'all so maybe go over my minute now. So, my name is Joni Alexander. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Youth Engagement Services, where I also serve as the janitor, the secretary, and receptionist. You know, we're new. We had our grand opening January 14th. You know, as a nonprofit, we have the role to help communities and people change for the better. The major themes and ideas that YES foster is exposure and collaboration. Research shows that exposure can help teens develop many positive skills and capacities such as persistence, collaboration, creative thinking, and problem solving. And our second major theme is collaboration, because no one entity can ensure the positive development of our community's youth. It's no way that one entity can do that alone. All stakeholders must be present. And those stakeholders can include the youth, the parents, local government, law enforcement, faith-based community, nonprofits, school districts, colleges, universities, business sectors, and it can go on and on and on. Our young people have a valid input to make in the shaping of the future of our city, and we must make sure that they are prepared to be a beneficial part in that decision-making process. So it's exciting when organizations can collaborate and share knowledge and resources that can potentially save our kids' lives. When you think about it, it's time for us to step outside our comfort zone. We don't live in a time where we can just tell our youth to pick themselves up by their bootstraps and not acknowledge that they don't even have the straps to pick themselves up with. It's time for less talking, and it's time for us to be about it. It's time for some new innovative ideas, and Freedom School, along with the other many youth initiatives in our city, are moving us in that direction. And yes, we'll promote any initiative that seeks to empower our youth. At the end of the day, it's not about yes. Yes is a part of the many working pieces moving our city forward with the focus of our youth. So let's provide our young people with the right kind of resources. Let's believe in the young people. And if it comes down to it, let's believe in them so much that we trick them to believing in themselves. And lastly, again, I'd like to say thank you for allowing me to be here. I think Freedom School is an exceptional program, and I look forward to its implementation. And yes, it's thrilled to be a part at any capacity that we may serve. And since I only have a minute, if you all have any questions, you can text the word question to 33222, and I will be in contact with you with anything you want to know about YES. I'll say that again. Text the word question to 33222. Thank you.
3-2. I just want to make make sure I had it, so when I have a question, I like that. No, you did. Texting. So the next, after that, I'm just going to talk about next steps. So as soon as this meeting is over, if you are a parent and you are interested in enrolling your child and being able to sign up your child, then you can be able to stay and we can get your applications done on site. There will be 3 other meetings that will take place. These meetings are going to be a little bit more specific to the program. They will be sent home with your parents. During those meetings, you will have an opportunity to learn about where their nutrition is going to come from, their feeding. You will learn about some of the field trips in more detail, as well as kind of some of the things that the parents are going to be doing. That will take place at those meetings. Again, I really appreciate all of you all for coming out, for being able to take the time to learn about the program and the other programs. And I'm a man that believes in starting and ending on time, and is right at 11. So we are on time to end. Does anyone have any questions for the whole group before we stop to take and do applications? Yes, sir.
David Hutter, Pine Bluff Commercial. Thank you for inviting me. You mentioned the UAPB students are going to be the teachers through the Freedom School Initiative. Are they going to be paid, or are they going to be getting college credit, or both, or neither? How's that going to work?
Great, very good question. So Freedom School believes in serving the whole community. So we're going to serve parents through parent education. We're going to serve your students through the integrated reading curriculum. And we are going to serve, again, I'm trying to get the numbers correct, 7 UAPB students and 5 first-year teachers and or paraprofessionals that are currently employed in the district that fit the requirements to be able to work in the Freedom Schools program. So our staff makeup is going to be, we have 3 first-year teachers, 2 paraeducators who are current district employees, and then 7 UAPB college students. They are all going to be paid a stipend over the summer. That stipend is basically their pay for being able to go out and do all the things that they're doing. But I just want to say that there's no pay that can be able to fully reward and compensate these young people for what they're going to do. But they are going to gain something that's more than just pay. They're going to go to the Children's Defense Fund's Alex Haley Farm in Clinton, Tennessee, which is the national training site for the Children's Defense Fund. And all of our college students are going to get to go to that national training where they're going to learn about what it means to be a child advocate. They're going to learn how do they implement this reading program, and they're also going to learn how they can be a better student and be better prepared to enter the profession. So they're going to get some professional development and training from this program as well. So not only are they getting compensated through money, but they're going to get some experience and things that's going to help. That's why we call it an intern experience and not just a summer job. Any other questions?
We missed someone on program, Lee Anderson.
Mr. Anderson was with UA. Oh, you didn't speak? Oh, sorry. Well, we need to get you up here. They used to say that I was came up and I was 3322 and just came and moved on. So let me have Mr. Anderson talk about the University of Arkansas Extension Services because we are going to be engaged in that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Zach. Real quick, my name is Lee Anderson. I'm the staff chair of the Jefferson County Extension Office here in Pine Bluff. Zach called me about a couple months ago and asked me to participate in this program, and I said I had no problem. Just real quick, some of the things that I have lined up for them, project wet activities, basic gardening 101, how to eat healthy, water quality education, learn how to market vegetable crops, colors aiding in longevity, and possibly creating public service announcements. So once again, I'm Lee Anderson. I'm at the Extension Office, 500 South Idaho Street. If anybody needs anything, we have 4-H, we have Family Consumer Sciences, we have row crop information if needed. I handle horticulture, and I handle water quality education. I had 2 Pine Bluff High students do the murals in front of City Hall, Aisha Shelton and Justin Tomlinson. I think Aisha was chosen for the Go Forward Pine Bluff sign. So those 2 10th graders did the murals in front of City Hall, and the other 2 were done by Whitehall, our teacher. I can't think of his name right now. He's the art teacher at Whitehall High School. So thank you.
Thank you. Forgot about that. And I do apologize. And I have been learning stuff since I've been here, so it's actually cool because I went on the internet, and this is how new I am to Arkansas. I'm like, what can I do for Freedom School? So I'm Googling different things, and when I called the Little Rock office, it was like, hey, you have someone in Pine Bluff. And I called, and Mr. Anderson picked up, educated me, told me what is available, and I'm like, wow, this is actually awesome. So I appreciate that, and thank you for coming. Any other questions before we go and start doing applications for parents? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am, and then I'll come to you.
I have a question. I have a daughter that's dealing with problems being accepted because she's had second, third degree burns. And I was trying to see, is this a good program for her? Every week I have like a little family talk to see what is it that she can do to be accepted. I mean, what can I do to try to help her feel more accepted? And she came up to me with this little paper and she was like, I think this can help me. And I was trying to see, would this be a good program to make her feel more accepted and not more distant?
Well, first off, I'm glad that your daughter was excited enough to take the paper and bring it home to you to say that she feels like this is going to be good, because that lets me know that our team put together a good marketing package that works for the kids. So thank you for that. The second thing is, yes. So the Freedom Schools literature curriculum, each week is a different book. So week 1 is I Can Make a Difference in Myself. Week 2, I Can Make a Difference in My Family. Then it goes to community. Then it goes to country, world, and the last week is with hope, action, and education. And so the curriculum that we have is designed to teach kids how to be accepting, how to believe in yourself, and how to accept yourself for who you are. There's some adults that don't accept themselves. All kids don't accept themselves, and that's why we have bullies, because, there's a book that talked about how you filled a bucket today, and some people, instead of filling buckets, they dip from other people's buckets because they don't know how to fill up their own. So this program is something that will work for your daughter. It's going to help her to love herself. And in this program, one thing that I can say I believe in wholeheartedly is acceptance for all children. So no matter what they look like, no matter how they act, no matter how they carry themselves, they will be respected, they will be loved, and they will be valued. Our staff will model those. Our staff will model that, I will model that, and all of the students in Freedom School will model that. And if they don't model that, then Freedom Schools wouldn't be a good fit for them. And that's one of the things that we'll talk about. Freedom Schools is a program that works for all children. But all children might not work for Freedom School. And as a program director, I will assure you that if there's a child that doesn't work for Freedom School because they don't know how to embody the values that we have, then they'll be at home. They won't be here. We're just going to give them back to God, and we're going to pray that, things is going to work. But your daughter, she should apply. Yes.
Okay, I have a granddaughter. She said last week, she made sure I was coming to this meeting. She put it on the counter so I could see it this morning. So my question is, how do you go about choosing the students that will be in this program?
Okay, great question. So whenever you complete your application, it is going to get a little personal, so I'm going to go ahead and warn you. It's going to ask for some demographic information. So the first thing that we look at is we want to make sure that all students are at risk as what is defined by the Department of Education, which means that they are eligible for free or reduced lunch. And that's 100% of the students in the Pine Bluff School District. So that's the first piece of criteria. The second piece of criteria is that we try to target students that live in more impoverished neighborhoods or neighborhoods where there's not a lot of positive things going on, because we want to take kids from a negative environment and put them in a positive environment to make sure that they can feel good about themselves. The third thing that we're going to look at is income. So we want to be able to serve kids that come from parents where we're here to help the parents, if you think about it. So like if I'm mom or I'm dad and I have 5 kids and I make $20,000 a year, there's no way that I'm going to be able to afford to give my kids the summer experience that they need that's going to keep them from losing knowledge over the summer. And research shows that for every 2 weeks that students go without any instruction or without any kind of academics, they lose about 60% of the information that was just given. So, like if I go the whole summer and I don't have anything learning, any kind of positive education experience, when I come back, most teachers have to spend the whole first quarter reteaching everything from the previous grade level. So that's another thing. So we want to make sure that we're serving kids that we can reach. So when you apply, it's going to ask you different questions about, your background, financials, things like that, and there'll be a point system that's going to be given towards all of those parents, all of those students, and then we'll be able to make the acceptance based off of that. 60 of the students will be at our elementary site, which is going to serve current kindergarten students through current 5th grade students. And then our middle and high school site is going to serve current 6th grade students through current 11th grade students. You have to have completed kindergarten in order to apply, and PEAK students who are graduating the 12th grade wouldn't be accepted. But I will say, don't panic. That's why we're having these meetings. No child will be accepted into the program unless a parent has physically came to one of these parent sessions. So this isn't going to be a, hey, can you tell me how to apply and I can't make it. You will come into a session and hear about what the program is before you sign up your child. All right, yes. And then I'll give you this.
I'm Sherry Liddell. I'm retired. They said in the paper over there, retired from Little Pine Bluff, but I am retired from the Little Rock School District. But I did work 13 years in the Pine Bluff School District. First of all, I know you said you're from Charlotte.
I went to college in Charlotte.
Oh, okay, because Charlotte, Freedom House of Prayer was connected also with Freedom Schools.
Yes.
And I was wondering if you were aware of that by being in Charlotte.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Freedom School Partners is where I began my Freedom School experience. And so I've worked all the way. I was an intern for 4 years, one of the college student interns. I was an assistant site coordinator. I was a site coordinator, and the site that I worked at was partnered with Fifth Third Bank. So Charlotte has a wonderful setup. They basically reached out to all the churches and business communities, and each church actually adopted a Freedom School site. And just so you all know, it costs roughly about $60,000 to serve 50 kids for the 6-week program. We're having 2 sites here, so the roughly cost is about $120,000 that we're investing into, you know, your children over the summer. And in Charlotte, that cost is completely covered by all of the business partners that partner with the school district.
And then, so you mentioned earlier about volunteers. How can volunteers sign up to be part of this?
Oh, great. So contact me. We will need volunteers. We're going to need Harambe readers. So during our Harambe program in the morning, we're going to look for people like you in the community who's going to come in and read a book to the kids. So we want volunteers for that. We're also going to want volunteers to come in, just have lunch with the kid, come in and go sit in the class, read a book with the kids. So any way that you want to be engaged, we look for that. Charlotte actually, as a part of their Freedom Schools model, some sites do this across the country, but it's not required. They require that in order for the child to go, as a part of the tuition, parents must attend all parent meetings, and they have to commit to volunteer for 6 hours during the summer. So parents have to actually go to the site and sit alongside and volunteer. I didn't make that requirement for this year because I know it's something that we're doing new, and many parents, this is a different demographic than Charlotte, so I know a lot of people are working and have to travel, so that might not be something we can do. But if you want to volunteer, send me an email, and we certainly want to get you in to help out. Mr. Hunter?
When is the deadline for parents to apply on behalf of their children?
So the deadline is at the end of our 3rd meeting, and that flyer will go out whenever kids come back from their spring break. Yeah, we're actually ahead of schedule in terms of the national schedule for programming, but we want to have all of our kids identified by April the 25th. So by April 25th, every parent will know that their child will be attending Freedom Schools in the district. Any other questions? All right, so again, thank all of you for coming. Please don't leave all these great Shipley donuts and these bananas. Some of them are still green, so if you take them home, they might, you know, get yellow over the weekend, so you can take them home and eat them. There's some apples, and then if you're interested in applying, then you can just stay seated, and as soon as the room gets clear, then I'm going to get you guys a computer so we can get your application. It should take about 5 minutes.